Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Azure Database Watcher series. In this video, we are going to walk you through a step-by-step guide on how to scale your Azure Data Explorer cluster, a critical skill if you are managing data-heavy workloads and want to maintain optimal performance. Now, not every setup needs constant scaling. For many database watcher deployments, the default extra small compute optimized 2 instance cluster SKU might be just fine indefinitely. But over time, your workloads or query patterns may change, and you might start noticing symptoms like slower dashboards, increased query latency, data ingestion delays, or even throttling errors. That's when scaling becomes essential, and Azure Data Explorer gives you two powerful options. Option one is vertical scaling, where you upgrade your SKU to increase vCPUs, memory, and cache per node. And option two is horizontal scaling, where you simply add or remove instances while keeping the SKU the same. You will also learn about when to scale out first, how optimized autoscale works to adjust based on workload changes, and when to consider scaling up if individual nodes becomes the bottleneck. One thing to note, vertical scaling causes a short downtime, so it's important to plan it wisely. And if that affects your watcher, you may need to restart it after scaling. By the end of this video, you will know exactly when, why, and how to scale your Azure Data Explorer cluster for the best performance and cost efficiency. And if you find this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with more in-depth tutorials in our Azure Database Watcher series. Let's jump right in. The scale up and scale out, we have these options available under the settings here. Yeah, let's first click on scale up, and then if you see here, the current SKU is standard E2D underscore V5. Yep. If you want to change this particular configuration, so if you see here under the compute optimize, we are able to see the standard underscore E2D underscore V5. As far as the vertical scaling is concerned, what you can do is like you can increase the specs of this particular machine. Yeah, so you can increase that. So right now we have two vCPUs and 16 GB memory. Depending on your requirement, maybe you can change to small, medium, large, or extra large. But it all depends, like whether you have a requirement to change that. If yes, then what you can do is like you can vertically scale the machine from say extra small to whatever that is required. So this is the vertical scaling. So you need to select the required configuration, and then you just need to apply it. It's gonna have some downtime, so you should be you should be okay with that. So if you see the scale up process can take a few minutes. During that time, your cluster will be partially available. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. But yeah, if you want to vertically scale this particular Azure Data Explorer cluster, this is the way. You need to click on scale up, and then you need to change the required SKU that is going to fit your requirement. Yeah. Now let's talk about the horizontal scaling. For that, we need to click on this scale out, and then if you see here, right now the instance count is set to 2. Yeah, if you want, you can increase it to a higher number. Yeah, so that means like with an instance count of 2, what does that mean is like you will have two machines with this particular SKU. Yeah, so right now we are in standard E2D V5. I showed you guys like it's an extra small size with two vCPUs and 16 GB memory. Now let's say like we change this to a small, which is 4 vCPU and 32 GB memory. And now if you change this instance count from 2 to a different value, say like 3 or 4, then what happens is like, let's say let's change it to 4. That means like you will have 4 instances with this particular configuration, whatever you have selected, whatever SKU you selected, you will have that many. Yeah. So based on this, what you can do is like if you want to manually scale it, you just need to change the required instance count and then you need to save it. Yeah. And you have another option, optimized auto scale and custom auto scale. Now let's first talk about this optimized auto scale. Let's click on that. So now what we can do is like we can set the minimum instance count, let's say 2, or and then you need to change the maximum instance count. So let's say it is 4. Now if both the minimum and maximum instance count is same, then there will be no auto scaling happening. Yeah, because it's going to be same. As soon as you started, it will have that many number of instances. But as soon as you have a different value for the maximum instance count then the minimum instance count, it should be greater than your minimum. The maximum instance count should be greater than your minimum instance count. And once that is done, the cluster will be scaled between this minimum and maximum instance count based on the load. So this will be taken care automatically by the Azure Data Explorer cluster. And based on the load, what it will do is like it will scale up and scale down between this minimum and maximum instance count. For example, if you have too much load with this current configuration, yeah, then what will happen is like it will slowly scale from instance count 2 to 3 and then to 4. And then let's say like the load has come down and you don't have much of an workload on the system, then it will slowly scale down to 2. That way, in case if we have too much of workload, then we will get more instances, and in case if the workload comes down, then we can reduce the number of instances, thereby reducing the cost as well. Yeah. Next option would be the custom auto scale. Yeah. And if you see here under the custom auto scale, you have these two options under scale mode. Yeah. So they are like scale based on a metric, and then the second one would be scale to a specific instance count. Yeah. So now use this value scale to a specific instance count, and then let's add a scale condition here. Yeah. So on the scale condition with scale to a specific instance count, let's change the value to 4. Yeah, and then what we'll do is like we will specify the start and end dates. Either you can specify an start and end date. Let's say like I will be using the IST time. Yeah, and what I'm basically telling is like between the start date and that is for 1 day for 14th April 2025. I'm requesting that the instance count be scaled to 4. So let's say like for example there is one particular day or a couple of days or maybe like a month where you are thinking like there might be too huge of an load on this particular cluster. Then what you can do is like you can utilize this particular option, that is to specify the start and end date, and then you can advise the scaling to happen with whatever instance count you want. Yeah, or what you can do is like you can use the second option, which is basically repeat specific day. Yeah, and let's say like your business that basically uses this particular cluster works only on the weekdays, that is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday only. Saturdays and Sunday it is like no load at all. And then you have a specific time zone, say like for during the India time zone between say 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is when you will have your maximum amount of load on this particular cluster. So for that, what you can do is like you can use this specific days option, and then you can provide these details. And then when you save this, what happens is like around 10 a.m. On the weekday, it will be scaled to 4 instance count, and then after 6 p.m. It gets scaled down. So you have these options available under scale to a specific instance count. Let's discuss on the option scale based on a metric. So let's delete what we have created already. Yeah. So now as far as the default condition is concerned, what we'll do now is like let's select this option, which is scale based on a metric. Yeah. So we have a warning here that basically tells like we need to add a rule. So let's click on add a rule here. Yeah. And then the metric source would be this particular cluster. Yeah. And then the standard metrics, I'll be utilizing CPU. Yeah. Let's select CPU. And my condition right now, it is like below 1%. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to tell like in case if the CPU utilization is greater than 80%. Yeah. In case if it is more than 80%, then I will request a scale to happen. But before that, you will have to look at these options here. For example, if you see here, we have this duration minutes, and how this is important is like in case if there is a spike, let's say like it reaches 90% or 81%, then it will not right away do a scaling. So what it will do is like you need to have this value of 80% for continuous 10 minutes. If that is the case, that is when the scaling will happen. And we have this option called time grain, which is basically an metric sampling duration thing. Yeah. So, for example, if this is set to 1 minute, then the metrics will be aggregated every 1 minute using the aggregation method specified in the time grain statistics. Yeah. So in this case, what you have done is like we have set it to average. So that means like with statistics is equal with this statistics set to average and then the time grain set to 1 minute. That means like the metrics will be aggregated every 1 minute by taking the average. Yeah, so that is what we have mentioned. And based on that, the scaling will happen. Now you need to click on add, and then once you save it, then what happens is like as soon as your um, uh, data cluster CPU utilization is greater than 80% and all these things matches, then what will happen is like the scaling will be perform. So that is what it is going to happen. Now the action is like if you can see what we are basically telling is like in case if these conditions are met, then we will be like performing the increase in the count by one instance count. If you want, you can change this. And also like you have this cool down period here. So this cool down refers to the amount of time to wait after a scale operation before performing another scale operation. So let's say like if the cooldown is set to 5 minutes and a scale operation just completed, then the auto scale will not attempt to scale again until after 5 minutes. Yeah, this is to allow the metrics to stabilize first. Yeah, so that's it. Like for example, like if you want to do an auto scale, you can utilize this option as well. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Jai Hind.